I think we have all done the math.
Oh, definitely.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You wake up, you groggily grab your phone, check the time, and immediately you're calculating.
Okay, went to bed at 11:30. It's 5:30 now.
That is 6 hours. And instantly, before your feet even hit the floor, you just decide, today is ruined.
It's the math of dread. It is just the worst way to start the morning.
It really is. We have this internal script that says, if that number isn't an 8, or at least close to it, we are biologically failing.
Right. You're going to be a zombie. You're aging faster. You're failing at wellness.
It's like if you don't hit the number, you shouldn't even bother getting out of bed.
Well, it's one of the most pervasive health anxieties we have right now. We sort of gamified sleep, which in theory is good. We're paying attention.
Yeah.
But the game is rigged because for decades, the only metric we've really cared about is duration.
And that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We are looking at a fascinating case study that completely flips that script. We have a detailed first-person analysis from a 44-year-old who started sleeping significantly less. We're talking around 6 hours a night. But, and here's the hook, he felt more rested than he ever did when he was forcing himself to get 8.
And I want to be clear right off the bat, because I know what you're probably thinking.
Yeah.
This is not some hustle culture manifesto. This is not about training yourself to sleep less so you can work an 18-hour day.
Thank God. I'm so tired of those sleep is for the weak, guys.
No. This is about biology. Specifically, it's about sleep efficiency versus sleep duration.
Okay.
We're analyzing a whole stack of data, watch metrics, heart rate charts, detailed logs, to understand how a regulated nervous system can actually do in 6 hours what a stressed out body struggles to do in 8.
So the mission today is to figure out, are we just chasing the wrong number?
I think for many of us, yes, we are optimizing for time in bed when we should be optimizing for, well, the depth of the crash.
Let's start with the before picture of our source, because he describes a situation that I think a lot of listeners are going to recognize. He calls it the old story.
Right. So previously, this individual was doing what most health-conscious people do. He consumed the content.
Oh, yeah.
He watched the YouTube neuroscientists, read the articles, and he internalized the rule. 7 to 8 hours is the minimum. If you get less, you're increasing your risk of Alzheimer's, heart disease, all of it.
Which is terrifying stuff. I mean, it's effective marketing for sleep, but it creates so much fear. I've read those books. They basically tell you if you sleep 6 hours, you are cognitively drunk.
Exactly. And so he found himself in this paradox. He would wake up naturally after 6 hours. His eyes would open. He'd feel alert.
Okay.
But because the clock said 5 a.m. and not 7 a.m., he would panic.
I have absolutely done this. You lie there and think, I have to get back to sleep. I need 2 more hours or I'm going to die early.
Precisely. He describes just lying in bed, stressed out, trying to force his brain to shut down just to hit a quota. And he realized something profound. The pressure to get perfect sleep was doing more damage to his system than the actual lack of sleep.
He uses a phrase that really stuck out to me. Over-worrying, not undersleeping.
It's a perfect description of orthosomnia.
Orthosomnia? Wait, is that a real diagnosis?
It is now. It's the obsession with perfect sleep data. When you lie there stressing about your sleep score, you are dumping cortisol stress hormones into your blood.
So you're not resting.
You're not resting. You're just fighting yourself in the dark. Your body is rigid. Your heart rate is elevated. You might be in bed for 8 hours, but you aren't recovering.
So he hits a breaking point. But he didn't just decide to stop worrying because, I mean, that never works.
Right. You can't just think your way out of anxiety.
So he made physical changes.
Correct. And this is the pivot point of the whole case study. He didn't set out to fix his sleep. He stopped trying to hack the night. Instead, he focused entirely on regulating his nervous system during the day.
Okay, let's break that down, because regulating the nervous system is one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around on Instagram constantly. What did he actually do?
He introduced these high-leverage inputs to signal safety to his body. First, breathwork. Specifically, CryoForge breathwork. 3 rounds first thing in the morning.
Is that like the Wim Hof style? You know, the heavy hyperventilation and holding your breath till you see stars?
Similar principles, yes. It involves rhythmic, intense breathing that temporarily spikes your stress response, followed by a long retention where you hold your breath. It teaches the body how to toggle between stress and calm. It widens your window of tolerance.
So you stress yourself out on purpose to learn how to calm down.
Exactly. You are manually operating the nervous system. Then he added cold exposure ice showers for 2 to 5 minutes.
Which sounds like the absolute opposite of relaxing. If I jump in an ice shower, I am not thinking zen. I am thinking, get me out of here.
It feels that way, but it forces a physiological reset. When you hit that cold water, your body screams, danger, predator, freezing.
Right. But if you stand there and breathe through it, you are training your nervous system to stay calm in the face of a high-stress input. It's a repression of the fight-or-flight response.
Okay, so he's doing breath work, cold showers, and he also mentions daily movement yoga, walking, and cutting down evening stimulation. But here's my question. None of this is sleep hygiene. He's not talking about blue light blockers or magnesium or the perfect mattress temperature.
That is the critical insight. Sleep hygiene usually focuses on the environment, the bedroom.
Yeah.
Nervous system regulation focuses on the internal state. He realized that if his body was stuck in a low-level fight-or-flight mode all day, which most of us are, thanks to email and traffic, it doesn't matter how dark the room is. The body won't drop deep.
Because it doesn't feel safe.
Exactly. Sleep is the ultimate vulnerable state. An animal in the wild won't sleep deeply if it smells a predator.
Okay.
A dysregulated nervous system thinks there's a predator constantly. By doing the breath work and the cold exposure, he was manually switching his system from defense to safety. And the sleep changes were just a side effect of that safety.
Massive side effect.
Yeah.
And we have the data to prove it.
Let's get into the numbers. Because he shares this specific aha moment morning. He wakes up, feels amazing, checks his Apple Watch. What did he see?
He saw a sleep score of 92.
Which, for anyone who tracks sleep, is elite. I think my highest ever is like an 84, and I framed it.
A 92 is an A+ sleep. But then he looked at the duration.
Was it?
6 hours flat.
That doesn't compute. Usually the algorithms punish you so heavily for anything under 7 hours. To get a 92 with 6 hours, the internal quality must have been off the charts.
It was efficient. He dug into the metrics, and 3 things stood out that differentiate sleeping from sleeping efficiently.
Yeah.
First was deep sleep.
Okay.
It was highly concentrated in the first 3 to 4 hours.
Just to clarify for everyone, deep sleep is the physical restoration phase, right? That's where muscle repair happens.
Correct. It's also where the glymphatic system kicks in. Basically, the brain's janitorial service that washes away toxins.
Yeah.
He got the bulk of that work done immediately. Wow. Second, his heart rate. It was consistently low in the 50s and 60s. This indicates the body wasn't struggling to process a late meal or cortisol. It was just idling.
And the third metric.
This is the shocker, his awake time.
Now, usually, even if we sleep through the night, we wake up a little bit, right? I see those little orange spikes on my graph all the time.
The average 40-year-old male spends about 15 to 30 minutes awake during the night. These are micro wake-ups, adjusting the pillow, tossing, turning, hearing a noise.
Right, you don't even remember them.
You don't remember them, but they fragment your sleep. They break the cycle.
And our source, how much awake time did he have?
3 minutes.
3 minutes in the whole night.
3 minutes of awake time in a 6-hour window. It was extremely consolidated. He says his body stopped negotiating with the night.
I love that phrase, negotiating with the night.
It implies a struggle, doesn't it? When you're dysregulated, your brain is constantly checking the perimeter.
Yeah.
Are we safe? Is that a noise? Should we wake up?
That's expensive.
It is. Biologically speaking, it burns energy, and it pulls you out of those restorative stages.
Yeah.
Because he had spent months regulating a system, his body felt safe. So when he closed his eyes, it didn't drift, it dropped. It went straight to work. And because there was no fragmentation, he got the same recovery payload in 6 hours that a fragmented sleeper might need 8 or 9 hours to accumulate.
That is a huge concept. It changes the goal from time in bed to density of rest.
Density is the perfect word for it.
It's like the difference between a watered-down drink and a straight shot.
Exactly.
But this leads to the part of the story that I think will be controversial for some people, the wake-up time. Because part of his new rhythm was waking up naturally without an alarm at 4 a.m.
The infamous 4:00 a.m. club.
Yeah. I mean, if I wake up at 4 a.m., my immediate reaction is, oh no. It feels like an interruption. It feels like insomnia.
For most people, it is. But he insists that if you feel rested, waking at 4 a.m. isn't insomnia, it's completion.
Okay.
And there is actually some very solid evolutionary biology backing this up.
All right, sell me on 4 a.m. Why would the body want to be up that early? It's dark, it's cold, nothing is open.
It has to do with 2 main mechanisms. The first is the Cortisol Awakening Response, or CAR.
We usually hear about cortisol as the bad guy, the stress hormone that gives you belly fat.
In chronic doses, yes. But acutely, Cortisol is your ignition key. Between 3:30 a.m. and 5:01 a.m., your body naturally starts pumping cortisol to prepare you for the day.
Ah,
It mobilizes sugar into the blood for energy. It raises your blood pressure slightly. It's the boot-up sequence,
so it's the body's natural espresso shot.
essentially. Now, here's the difference. In a stressed, dysregulated system, that cortisol spike hits a body that is already inflamed or anxious.
Right.
So waking up feels like a jolt. You wake up with your heart racing, mind racing about your to-do list. It's panic.
That doom feeling.
That's it. But in a regulated system, like our sources achieved, that cortisol rise is smooth. It doesn't feel like panic. It feels like alertness. It just gently pushes you into consciousness.
So he's surfing the cortisol wave instead of getting smacked in the face by it.
That's a great analogy. And this coincides with the second mechanism, light anticipation.
Which seems impossible because at 4 a.m., at least where I live, it is pitch black outside.
That looks black to us. But he references these melanopsin-containing cells in the eyes. They're these intrinsically photosensitive ganglion cells. They're incredibly ancient and incredibly sensitive.
So they can see things we can't.
They detect the wavelength of light in the atmosphere. Even before the sun breaks a horizon, what we call nautical twilight, the atmosphere shifts towards blue wavelengths.
No way.
Your eyes can detect that shift long before you can consciously see the sun.
So your body knows dawn is coming before your mind does.
Precisely. It's an anticipatory signal. The brain says the sun is coming, let's boot up. If your sleep is efficient and you've gotten your deep sleep early in the night, your body aligns with that pre-dawn signal and wakes you up.
So it's not a disorder, it's an ancient rhythm.
We've just buried it under electric lights and blackout curtains.
It really reframes the experience. Instead of, I have a problem because I'm up, it's, my body is done, I'm ready.
That reframe is crucial. He mentions that the doubt was the problem. Once he saw the data, that his heart rate was stable, his deep sleep was full, he realized he didn't need to force himself back to sleep.
But wait, I want to push on this a bit because life happens. He talks about a specific experiment where he couldn't get to bed at his usual time. He went to bed later, around 11:00 p.m., but he still woke up at 4 a.m. That's only 5 hours? Surely that can't be good for you.
This is where we get into the concept of sleep compression. And the data from that night is honestly mind-blowing.
Though he slept 5 hours and 5 minutes, that sounds like a disaster on paper.
His sleep score did drop. It went down to a 63, purely because the algorithm hates short duration. But look at the internals. Deep sleep was roughly 21%. REM sleep was 32%.
Whoa, wait, REM is usually the last thing to happen, right? If you cut sleep short, don't you usually lose your REM?
Typically, yes. Sleep architecture usually goes deep sleep first, REM later. It's like a 4-course meal.
Wow.
But his body didn't just chop off the dessert. It compressed the entire meal.
No way.
It prioritized the deep sleep and REM because it knew time was short.
That is incredible. It's like the body went into efficiency mode?
It implies a level of plasticity we just don't give the body credit for. It suggests that a regulated body responds to recovery needs, not just the clock. It had high homeostatic sleep pressure, basically, the hunger for sleep. So it binged on the good stuff immediately.
So physiologically, he was recovered even if the duration was short?
Yes. His heart rate stayed stable between 54 and 73 beats per minute. He didn't wake up wrecked.
It really challenges the idea that we are machines that need exactly 8 hours of fuel or we shut down. It sounds much more fluid.
Fluid and adaptive.
Yeah.
But, and this is a massive disclaimer that the source makes, and I want to echo it loudly.
Yeah.
This is not a prescription to sleep 5 hours.
Right. Please do not listen to this deep dive and say, the expert told me to sleep 5 hours so I can trade crypto at 4 a.m.
Absolutely not. If you do this with a stressed body, you will crash and burn. You'll accumulate sleep debt, your immune system will crash, you will feel terrible.
Yeah.
The source says explicitly, sleep as much as you need, but don't let a number convince you your body is wrong. The goal wasn't to sleep less. The goal was regulation. The outcome was needing less sleep.
That distinction is everything. He says, I didn't gain time by sleeping less. I gained time by needing less recovery.
That is the profound philosophical shift here. He realized that sleep reflects safety. If your nervous system feels safe, it doesn't need a 10-hour shutdown to reboot. It can do the work efficiently and get you back online.
And what he did with that extra time is beautiful, too. He talks about the shift from recovering to living.
This touched me. He noticed that on weekends, everyone else wanted to sleep in, but he wanted to get up. Not because he had a to-do list, but because it felt good to be awake.
He wrote, when people want to sleep through life, it's often because life feels exhausting, not because they don't value it.
That hits hard. It really forces you to look at why you love sleep.
It does. It asks a really uncomfortable question. Are we sleeping to refuel, or are we sleeping to escape?
Exactly. Are you hiding in the unconsciousness? And when the rest is efficient, when you aren't fighting the night, the morning changes.
Yeah.
That block of time from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. 0 didn't become grind time for him. It became live time. Quiet, creative, personal time.
It's almost the opposite of revenge bedtime procrastination, where you stay up late scrolling because you feel like you didn't get any time for yourself.
Yes. But he's waking up early to reclaim that time.
Yeah.
But it's only possible because the tank is full. I can't stress that enough.
Victor.
If you try to force the 4 a.m. wake up without the breath work, without the cold exposure, without the calm nervous system, you're just depriving yourself.
So let's zoom out. If we look at the big picture here, the journey wasn't really about sleep at all, was it?
No. The sleep was the metric, but the journey was about trust. It was a move from external validation, what the experts say, what the clock says, to internal trust.
Which is ironic because he used a high-tech Apple Watch to get there.
It is ironic. He used the data to prove to his logical brain that his intuitive brain was right. The data removed the fear. And once the fear was gone, the sleep got even better because he wasn't lying in bed stressing about not sleeping. It's a positive feedback loop.
So for the listener right now who is maybe staring at their sleep tracker and freaking out because they only got 6.5 hours, what's the actionable takeaway?
The takeaway is that quality comes from alignment. It comes from circadian rhythm and nervous system safety. It does not come from force.
Right.
You cannot force yourself to sleep better. You can only create the conditions, safety, regulation, darkness, cool temperature, where sleep can happen efficiently.
And maybe stop obsessing over the 8 hours rule if your body is telling you something else.
If you wake up and you feel rested, you are rested. Trust the signal. Do not let an algorithm tell you how you feel.
I want to leave everyone with that final thought from the source because I think it's something we should all chew on. He challenged himself. If you find yourself wanting to sleep through life, ask yourself if it's because you need the rest or because life feels too exhausting.
It's a heavy question. Are you hiding in sleep or are you fueling with sleep?
Right. And when that rest becomes deep and efficient, waking up isn't a chore. It's a return to life.
Well said.
So tomorrow morning, take a look at your sleep data, but maybe look at it through a new lens. Look for efficiency. Look for that awake time, not just total hours. And hey, if you wake up at 4 a.m. and feel good, maybe just get up.
The sunrise is waiting.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.